is for you, Kings fans, wherever you may be. All the frustration and disappointment of the past is gone. The 45-year drought is over. The Los Angeles Kings are indeed the kings of the National Hockey League. They are the 2012 Stanley Cup champions.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to a post-game live for the postseason, 2024 postseason here on Dime Dropper, the play-in games, live from Los Angeles. Super late at night. I had to coach practices, so I couldn't get to watch the games live. I just finished them at like 12:30 local time, and I was like, you know what? Let me just tweet out if anybody wants to see me go live, because at worst case scenario, you could watch it in the morning, right? So here we go. Live from Los Angeles. I want to say for the people that are on Twitter, I would really appreciate it if you went and came to the YouTube stream. The YouTube link is right under the tweet. I know everybody wants to be on Twitter, but you know what? If you really are so addicted to Twitter, put me on the TV or the computer or something. But we need you on YouTube. That's where I see all the comments quick. That's where I make my money, and that's where I'm trying to get that 10K subscribers. I need that 10K subscribers before the season ends. Please. I'm begging politely. But anyway, so if you're on Twitter, come on YouTube. YouTube is where it's at. But appreciate everybody for listening. Tonight we got two games to talk about, and it's really fun this time of year because I get to talk about the other teams in the NBA, the teams that I haven't talked about consistently, the teams that maybe, especially in the East Coast's case, I only talk about them per year at like the broad midseason episodes or after the All-Star break episodes, whatever I do in between. I always try to do like a halfway point episode. And then when they play the LA teams. But other than that, there's no consistent coverage of those other squads. So super excited to be talking about Miami, Philly first, and then we're going to talk about Chicago and Atlanta. So I'm going to say this. You can see the Miami Heat background behind me if you are watching on YouTube, and that is because I was looking at this game more from a Heat-centric lens. Philly was, when Embiid was healthy, the better team, in my opinion, as far as like my eye test in the regular season. Embiid was playing at such a high level. I mean, this dude was going to win MVP, it seemed like. And obviously gets hurt for 2 months. He hasn't really looked the same. And then in this game, he still didn't really look the same. So I'm still looking at it from a standpoint of the Miami Heat are the defending Eastern Conference champions. They always turn up in the playoffs. I am a believer in the Miami Heat turning up in the playoffs. But all season long, I'm looking at all the good Heat fans I have on my timeline on Twitter's feeds. And, my cousin is a Heat fan. By the way, you got to go follow his channel. He's an up-and-coming YouTuber. He's my cousin. He is team to beat Miami Heat. You got to follow him, subscribe to him, and join the party, Anyway, point is, I believe in them. I really believe in them to make some noise in the playoffs, not to win the championship. I've never really believed in them to win a championship because I don't feel as though they've got a good enough number one, even though I'm such a big Jimmy fan. Last year, it looked like they did, but then he got hurt, slowed down his production. But I still don't think that he's good enough creating his own shot at the highest level, to be honest, if we're talking winning a championship. Because Bam gave them 20-plus points last year in the playoffs. In the finals. He did, but maybe that's unfair. There's a lot bigger problems than just that. They're all pretty small in the front court. They have been for a year, and their offense is very mediocre. And they were missing Terry Rozier, who they added for some extra offensive punch. And they didn't get that in this game, which is unfortunate. But let's get into the details. And again, 38 people on Twitter versus 10 on YouTube. Come on, guys. Come on YouTube for me. That'd be really nice of you. I would really appreciate it. But anyway, let's talk about this. Took some notes, too. Lowry, one of the biggest things I saw right away. Kyle Lowry playing against the team that just let him go. Or traded him, whatever. Who'd they trade? Can somebody find the details of that? Who got traded to Miami from Philly? Because I'm blanking. Was it a 3-team deal? Kyle Lowry has done pretty well so far on Philadelphia, and I thought he was super active to start defensively, getting after it. You saw Embiid in drop coverage for the most part of the entire game that he was in. Jimmy Butler, though, playoff Jimmy, I was obviously taking a look at him, got off to a good start with 2 steals. I thought Haywood Highsmith was super active. DeLon Wright, I didn't even recognize him when he came into the game. I didn't even know DeLon Wright was on the Miami Heat. That's how out of touch with them I am, really. But I had no idea he was not even on the team. He comes in, adds a lot of athleticism alongside Highsmith, little youth, length, getting after the ball. in the zone that they went to. I'm going to talk about that zone in a second, but Jimmy Butler, he was playing pretty well, and then all of a sudden, he's on a fast break. He's got a layup, and he doesn't take it because Kelly Oubre is running full speed, and he ends up getting hurt. Super unfortunate. Like limping the rest of the game, it seemed like. And I'm a big Jimmy Butler fan. You guys know I'm big on Jimmy Butler. I think the way he's able to perform in the postseason, the level that he takes his game to, it's just extremely impressive. And it looked like he was possibly going to get one of those games again, but the injury really hurt him. Now, it didn't seem like it mattered in the first half because Eric Spoelstra and his Heat team zone was unlike any that I've really seen in the NBA. It was not a regular 2-3. It was not a 1-3-1 all the time. It was not a matchup zone where it became man. They just picked up the closest guy to them and helped off of them. They would go from 2-3 into 1-3-1 into 1-1-3. It was so interesting the way they were rotating and changing their formation in the half court so quick. And it looked like Philly had never played basketball before. They were getting stagnant. They were turning the ball over left and right. And I thought Haywood Highsmith and DeLon Wright were doing such a good job of pressuring the ball and getting active hands, making the windows so much smaller. And the Sixers were just thinking way too much, in my opinion, not letting the ball flow, not moving it quick. A couple times they looked off and beat in the high post because they did not trust their passing ability. And the corners, the short corners especially, were so open. It was such an interesting zone because, like, in one way, you're taking away the high post and kind of denying Embiid, but then you're also running the corner three-point shooter off the line. And this is the shit that really pisses me off and is one of the main reasons, in my opinion, why zones work better in today's game than even 10 years ago, even though there are way more three-point shooters now. Because the middle of the floor is neglected for whatever reason, especially in catch and shoot scenarios. Now, let me explain. To beat any zone, you got to move the ball quick, get the ball in the middle of the floor best you can. Move the ball quick, make the defense shift to both sides of the half court. You're never going to beat a good playoff defense. I tell this to my fucking kids that I coach in the middle school level. You are not going to beat a good defense in the half court frequently without shifting the ball to both sides of the half court. And in the case of a zone, you want to get the ball in the middle of the floor. So the Sixers players not getting the ball to Embiid because they're scared to make the pass, and then not taking the floater or the pull-up mid-range when they're getting run off the line. I mean, it's just terrible basketball, man. Like, it's so infuriating to me because we give this era so much credit with their offensive ability, but then they just can't do basic stuff because they're so untrained in catching the ball in the middle of the floor and turning and facing and shooting, or because catch and shoot mid-ranges are not encouraged by analytics. I understand, but like when you're playing against the zone, you got to take what the defense gives. And in my opinion, the Sixers were not doing that in the first half, and the Heat were just fucking them up. And Embiid didn't look right the whole time. The zone was getting the ball out of Maxi's hands, and then, oh boy, Tobias Harris. I felt so bad for him because Toby, he's a former Clipper, and I loved him here, even though I was in college that year, but he was still here. Got to see him play live a couple times. Loved him. He is the guy to me that when he plays well, he really has elevated the Sixers team in the past. And here's the thing, when he got that contract, that changed everything. Now the expectation is high. And he's getting paid a lot of money. So the fact that he's had his good playoff games for the Sixers. He's also had his horrible games for the Sixers. And man, he was missing layups. He was airballing threes. And after like the third miss, he was getting booed every time he did something bad offensively for the rest of the game. And I remember Tobias Harris, and the biggest thing I said he lacked was confidence. I didn't have a podcast then, but when I talked to my friends and people, he lacked confidence. In the first half, especially in the first quarter, he would get buckets. But when the game got tighter, dudes got a little more after it defensively. You know who wanted the ball and you know who was shying away from it? Tobias was shying away from it. You know who wanted that ball? Lou Will. And it's sad with Tobias, man. I mean, the Sixers won the game. So at the end of the day, he got the job done. He got 10 rebounds and 4 assists. At the end of the day, you got to find a way to contribute in some way. 10 rebounds in a playoff game, 1-point win. These games are won on the margins. You just got to go out there and do what you can do in the minutes that you get. And I don't think he was necessarily bad defensively. I don't really remember things that he did so bad defensively. But again, I was watching it more from a Heat lens. And everything was going pretty well in the first half. As I said, Highsmith and DeLon Wright really changed the game, in my opinion. And Embiid just didn't have much lift. And Tyrese Maxey was able to be kept at bay with that zone. So really good half from the Heat. They had a 9-0 run towards the end of the half. They were up by a score of, 28-17 in the second quarter. They outscored them. They were up 51-39 at the half. At this point, I was pretty confident that the Heat were going to win. Pretty confident. Let's check some of the halftime stats. Man, shout out to everybody in the live, man. We got 106 people in here, but 90 of them are on Twitter. Guys, please, YouTube. That's the place to be. And super chats are turned on. If you want to drop $1, a dime, any donation is appreciated, man. Up late at night, trying to do the best I can. I hold myself to a high standard to try to cover every single game of the playoffs and just give my take. If you like my take, you dislike it, it is what it is. Let me know in the comments. But you can only comment on YouTube. I ain't seeing that Twitter stuff. Let's get back to it. First half stats. Jimmy Butler. It's funny because he had 10 points, 4 steals, 4 assists, but he was 2 for 8. I didn't really feel that 2 for 8, to be honest. I thought he was playing well. Tyler Hero was 4 for 12. Didn't feel that as much in the first half, but we'll talk about Tyler as we continue. Bam Adebayo was in a little bit of foul trouble. He only played 12 minutes and 24 seconds in that first half. 2 for 4 from the field. It's funny because I turned the game on and he wasn't in the game. It was like 10-4. Apologies to everybody for not being there right when it started. But let's see. Did he have 2 fouls in the first quarter? Okay, yes, he did. There we go. So he was out for a minute and the Heat were playing pretty well. So yeah, he just only had 4 shots. But let's look at the Philly first half stats because that's what I really wanted to check. Man, the Sixers shot 33% from the field in the first half, 3 for 18 from 3, 17%, 11 turnovers. Embiid was 2 for 8, 10 points. And you could feel that one, unlike Jimmy Butler's. And then Maxey, 3 for 9, 9 points. Kelly Oubre, donut, 0 for 4. It's funny because Tobias Harris was 3 for 8. He tied for the most made field goals on the team in the first half, but they were just playing like garbage. Let's put it that way. And then second half, very interesting. I'm a little confused at why Spo and the Heat went man to man for as much as they did in the second half, considering that zone was so effective for them. And they trended back towards zone as the end of the game. But I don't know. That was a little interesting to me. But this is the adjustment that I felt that the Sixers made. And it had its pros and it had its cons. And at first it had you saw the cons. And it was that Embiid, instead of putting him in the middle of the zone, they brought him further out because the Heat in the second half, the zone that it looked like they were playing the most was 1-3-1 and sitting a guy at the high post. And they did the same exact thing last year in the finals to Jokic to try to get him out of the high post. And I forgot exactly what the adjustment was, but you can find it on my lives from last season. I can go back and look. That's the best part about this shit. That I can go back and look at what I said in the moment when I was all in. Because all these years, man, now I see how Barkley and them feel. These years get jumbled up. But I think I hold myself to a high standard. I think I remember off the cuff really well when it comes to sports history. But that's that would be something interesting to look at. I forgot exactly how they adjusted. I think they brought Jokic and make him catch it out on the wing, but I forget. Point is, the Sixers brought Embiid further out at the top of the top of the break, 3-point line straight away, just to get him to catch the ball and not risk passing it over the top and getting a turnover, right? So the cons of that are that Embiid is catching it so high, which is the criticism that if we go back and look at my lives from previous playoff seasons, I always say he catches it way too fucking high. And so many bigs in the league now do that. But Jokic doesn't. That's why he's the best player in the NBA. So many little things that people don't notice about Jokic that make him so great. That's why I have such respect for him. Not saying I don't respect Embiid. I'm also very in favor of international players, of course, because parents are foreigners. And Embiid is West African, and I love my favorite soccer player of all time, Didier Drogba, West African, and Cameroon, Samuel Eto'o. Come on. Some great Cameroonian athletes. You kidding me? Luke Ba-Mute. Come on. And Joel Embiid is added to that lineage. Alex Song. All right. Anyway, Vincent Abubakar. So Joel Embiid, I like him, but catching it high, you know what that means? A lot of jump shots. And he was bricking basically everything. And to me, if you're the Heat, that's what you want. Now, this is what was pissing me off about the Heat. Kyle Lowry was guarding Jimmy Butler. Joel Embiid was guarding Bam, obviously. Kelly Oubre was guarding Tyler Hero in that third quarter. Bam obviously was guarding Embiid. And then they had Caleb Martin on Tyrese Maxey. Out of all those matchups I just said, there's one that should stand out. Kyle Lowry is guarding Jimmy Butler. And it was disappointing to me. However, he was hurt. I get it. He was limping. He was noticeably grimacing. But it was disappointing to me. And it was just sad. He didn't look to be aggressive at all. He didn't look to catch the ball at all. He didn't make it a point. Like, if you guys remember when he was going at Grant Williams last playoffs, he was like, you cannot, he was getting in his face. It was crazy. It was to the point where I was coming on these lives and I was saying, you can't just switch anyone on to Jimmy. You can't just think you can switch 1 to 5 because he's cooking certain dudes. That was not the case tonight. And for obvious reason. But the part that pissed me off was that he started to get more aggressive when Batum was in the game. And it's like, dude, like, I don't understand. That's the thing about playoffs. When every possession counts, you can't just waste possessions. And I'm not saying they had bad shots necessarily in the possessions. He didn't touch the ball. But when it's do or die, I want the ball in my best player's hands, point blank, end of story. However, injury. Again, my pushback is, yeah, he was hurt. But when he was going at Nico Batum and he's getting locked up, like, I get it. The game's getting in the balance, but got to pick your spots a little better, my friend. As far as Tyler Hero, he was getting good looks in drop. He even got a wide open corner three. He missed 7 shots in a row. And remember, no Terry Rozier. And Bam, like, he was a ghost to me second half offensively outside of just screen and roll, just as the roller. Like, I just didn't notice anything. Let me see how many shots he took in the second half. 5. Okay, it's not that bad. He played 18 minutes, 23 seconds of the 24. I just don't think that's enough. When Jimmy Butler's clearly hampered, I just don't think that's enough. Tyler Hero's shooting so much. Like, Bam Adebayo is... So are we really saying that he hasn't taken any offensive leap? Because I think he kind of has, right? Heat fans, let me know. Has he? Because if he has, even a little bit, to me, he should be getting the ball more, especially when Joel Embiid is not 100%. Make him guard. I get Joel Embiid is a good defender, and he was playing good defense, and he was rebounding. So I'm going to give him credit for that. And I'm going to get to I'm going to sing Joel Embiid's praise at the end, but I don't know. I thought they could have just gone at him a little more. He was making tough shots too. He probably shot well in this game. Let me look at what he ended with. 5 for 9. Yeah, I'll take that. 9 shots. Are you kidding? Like, come on, dude. He's been the best player on the team this season. Very disappointing. Very disappointing. So the Heat just started bricking, and then allowed the Philadelphia 76ers to start getting in transition. They went on a 9-0 run, and you had guys like Buddy Hield coming in. And, of course, Nico Batum. Does it surprise me that Nicholas Batum turned around a game of this magnitude? Not one bit. He obviously just had a cold spell in the playoffs last year for us against Phoenix, and he was an inconsistent three-point shooter last season. But I kept saying at the beginning of the season, those first 3 games in the preseason, he looked a little fresher. He looked like maybe a little bit of a rejuvenation to 2022 level, or a little bit under that. And every time I watched him play this season, he has been just like that. A little under, I'd say, the 2022 Nico Batum. 2021 was probably a little better than 2022, because, of course, father time. But he's still fantastic. He still does all the right basketball things. Moves the ball quick. Doesn't stick with him. Always trying to do something defensively. Great size, great length. Always going to play hard. Going to play high IQ ball. Going to make those extra effort plays. Funniest thing, first two things he does when he comes in the game. Good verticality at the basket defending, and then he fights for a loose ball that causes a tip out of bounds by the Heat, gets an extra possession. You do not get another stat. You don't get a stat for either of those things. But that's what he does. He does those things. Late in the game, chasing around a screen, getting super. He did have that little push in the back. Who was that turned the ball over? Forget who it was. Got pushed in the backcourt. It was a turnover for them. And that's just the ball pressure that Nicholas Batum was bringing to the table. Everything. Playing good defense on Jimmy Butler at the point of attack. And, of course, 3 threes in the third quarter and 6 in the game. Nico Batum with a season high completely turned the whole game around. And it was like so bittersweet to me. So bittersweet to me because he's just so likable. He's just so likable. And I knew he could do this. And he's just the type of guy that helps you win these kind of games because he doesn't hurt your team besides missing open shots. Like, yeah, he was a little worse defensively last year for sure. But he wasn't bad. He was still one of our better guys at the point of attack. He was still arguably our best point of attack guy. Like, I want to say your turn now, Plumber Jim. But the thing is, James Harden's team is in the playoffs outright. We don't get to play in games like that. So I'm going to show James some respect. And James, obviously, I'm not saying that Batum's better than him, but, role players, it's a different kind of game you have to play. It's less pressure, less on-ball stuff, but Nico's just a guy I would take to war for me all day long, with me all day long, and happy for him, man. Happy for him indeed. I thought the Heat, it was very wise of them not to switch Tyler Hero onto Tyrese Maxey. But the Sixers, they went up 4 with the way they were attacking closeouts, especially Buddy Hield. He were running him off the line. He was making plays. But the Heat answered with a 7-0 run, and it started with Tyler Hero kind of finally taking the lid off the basket, and then he started getting going. And you know who had a very solid game? I talked about Highsmith and DeLon Wright, but Jaime Jaquez, the former Bruin, of course, UCLA legend, Jaime Jaquez, and he's been in huge games. Obviously, in the Final Four against Gonzaga, 3 Sweet 16s in a row. He knows what it's like to play in these kind of atmospheres, and he brought it, in my opinion. 15 points, 5 boards, 2 assists, a steal. He did turn the ball over 3 times, though, and 6 for 11 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3 in 22 minutes. He was a +8. All the Miami bench players were a plus in the plus-minus category. They went 9 deep with Kevin Love, Haywood Highsmith, DeLon Wright, and Jaime Jaquez off the bench. No Duncan Robinson. Interesting. Heat fans, let me know what you think of that. And unfortunate to not have Josh Richardson or Terry Rozier. And even more unfortunate that Jimmy Butler just didn't look 100%. Also, nothing was being called. Nothing. I mean, this was insane. They weren't calling shit. And then finally, they called some weird foul on Nico Batum before the ball was in play in the fourth quarter. That was weird. But now it's time to talk about Joel Embiid. Because the game was in the balance. The Heat were getting back in it. Joel Embiid hit a top of the key 3 wide open to take the lead. And then he had that offensive rebound in and 1. Huge plays. Huge. And again, it's just about getting it done, man. Joel Embiid's not been great in the playoffs throughout the course of his career. He's injured every time and doesn't play great through the injury. He's had some good games. He's always underperformed in my eyes. Outside of like the bubble. He was pretty damn good in the bubble. And then 2021, he was pretty awesome, but I can't forgive the way he was closing games, just shooting jump shots. Get it done. And he got it done in this game. That entry pass he also had to Kelly Oubre, rifle from the top. And see, that's what I mean. When he got going, he's catching the ball at the top, hitting that 3. Then he catches the ball. Kelly Oubre does a nice job sealing. He rifles it into him, shows off his passing chops. So big-time plays by Embiid. And then Nico Batum with the block on, was it Hero or Jimmy? I forget. Let me know, mods. Let me know. Was it Hero or Jimmy that he blocked? But Nico making all these big defensive plays in the fourth quarter, Jimmy Butler only was able to get 2 shots off. He played 9 minutes and 20 seconds of the fourth. Literally only 2 shots off. I think we really, again, he was injured for sure, but that's not it. Jimmy Butler, I've made a comments about him not being able to get shots off a ton against the best defenses at the highest level, even when he's healthy. Because his bag is not crazy. He doesn't have that much wiggle in his game. Like, let's be real. Everything's off 2 feet. Like, if guys aren't falling for his pump fake, he's not getting a great look. He's gonna have to shoot a tough shot. His first step has declined. He had a really good first step back in even a couple of years ago. I think it's declined a bit, but that's why I don't think he can be a number 1 scorer on a championship team. I think we got to start valuing the ability to get shots off. We've talked about that with Kawhi at times this season. Who else have we talked about? Steph Curry recently. Like, getting shots off is very important. I don't understand. We got to give Coby more credit for getting 27 shots a game up with that team in 06 when everybody with minimal spacing and everyone knew he was going to be the one that's shooting. Although teams would try to let him shoot and shoot him out of the game. He's not going to get his teammates involved. I remember that strategy. Yeah, it didn't work out too great in 2006 in the regular season when they were 6th best in the West with that squad. But that's an amazing way I think like guys like SGA, that makes him great. He's able to get shots off constantly. Jimmy Butler. Ugh. And I love Jimmy Butler. It's so sad he has an MCL injury apparently now. It's really unfortunate, man. Really unfortunate. But yeah, that's about it. The Philadelphia 76ers got the job done. 105-104. And they're going to play the Knicks. What a series that's going to be. 2 big markets. Tyler Hero actually played the entire fourth quarter, as did Haywood Highsmith. The majority of the fourth quarter was Tyler Hero, Haywood Highsmith, Jimmy, Jaquez, Bam. Hero had 16 in the fourth, so he actually came to play in the fourth. But, God, overall, I got to look at the way he shot. 9 for 27. Heat fans, let me know what you think. Like, I'm not saying Tyler didn't get bad looks off or didn't get good looks off, but 14 threes, dude. This is it's not an elimination game, but, playoff kind of game. Okay, you're shooting pull-up threes and drop coverage, a lot of them. That's a solid shot for you. But, like, that's the way you're going out? Let's get something different. Let's get it through Bam or Jimmy. Play through Bam in the high post. Tyler Hero, I just think the leash is that contract. Talking about contracts, the leash is so big for that guy. He's solid. His best role is honestly what he won 6th man of the year. Like that's Tyler Hero's best role to me. Was that 2022 that he won 6th man of the year? I'm gonna find it before you mods could. Yeah, 2022. So it is what it is. Let's look at the lines. Oh, I also want to talk about Embiid's stat line in the fourth. Joel Embiid, Bam Adebayo got one shot in the fourth quarter. Are you serious, dude? Embiid, 11 points, 4 boards, and 2 assists on 3 for 5 shooting, 2 for 2 from 3, and 3 for 3 from the line in the fourth. Huge. 11 points in the fourth, baby. Good stuff from Embiid. Now let's read the stat lines for both teams. Heat shot 42% from the field, 36% from 3, 74% from the line. Kevin Love, actually, no, Jovic played the least amount of any of the players tonight, I should say. 14 minutes, 5 points, 5 boards on 2 for 2 shooting. But he was a -10. I don't know. Not much to say about him for me. Heat fans, let me know what you think. Kevin Lowe off the bench, 10 points, 2 rebounds, 3 for 5 shooting, 2 for 4 from 3. Doing a good job knocking down the pick and pop 3. Double figures, plus 11. Thought it was pretty solid. Jaime Jaquez, 22 minutes played. Already talked about his stat line, 15 and 5. 6 for 11 from the field and 2 for 4 from 3. Thought he did really well in his first postseason game in the NBA. And then DeLon Wright, he was so good, in my opinion. 6 points, 6 boards, 2 assists, 2 steals, a block, no turnovers. He didn't shoot too well, though. 2 for 7 from the field, but he was 2 for 3 from 3, and also in the +8. Caleb Martin, only 24 minutes, 5 points, 5 rebounds. Didn't really notice him much. 2 for 3 from the field, 1 for 1 from 3. Been a very quiet season in regards to Caleb Martin. He was one of the reasons why they did so well last year in the playoffs. Just played out of his mind. And I don't know. Maybe that was just an outlier. Heat fans, let me know what you think. Maybe that was just an outlier. They still have a problem with, I just don't think they have a real good 4 on this team at all. And they don't have a good backup center. They just don't have good size behind Bam. They don't have enough good scoring in my opinion. Their offense is just not good enough. It's just not. Don't have enough athleticism and size. But Haywood Highsmith, I think that guy's got a pretty good future. Keep him around. He's a Heat kind of player. Jaime Jaquez as well. I don't know enough about Jovic, to be honest. I haven't seen him play enough. Let's see. Next, we go to Haywood Highsmith. 9 points, 6 boards, 3 assists, 3 steals, and a block. On 4 for 8 shooting. 0 for 4 from 3. Let's see. 0 for 4 from 3. That's the only criticism I have of him, is that he couldn't make his open threes. But 4 for 4 from inside the arc. 1 for 2 from the foul line. And then you have Bam, Tyler, and Jimmy, the main men. Tyler Hero played 41 minutes, more than any player on the Heat. 25 points and 9 assists. 5 turnovers. 9 for 27 from the field. That's 33%. 4 for 14 from 3. 3 for 3 from the line. Like just too many shots, in my opinion. Too much Tyler Hero. Too much Tyler Hero pick and roll. Too much of a leash for him. He's the best in a 6-man role. I don't know how you're going to get him to do that, but whatever. Honestly, if the Heat could trade him, I think he's just, I don't know about it if he's a Heat guy. I don't know if he's a Heat guy. But Bam Adebayo, 10 points, 12 rebounds, 2 blocks. This is a guy that averaged, 18 points this year? 19 points this year. How many minutes per game? 34. He got 3 less minutes tonight. Boo fucking who, dude? You had enough chance to get more than 9 shots off. Like, come on. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. And Tyler Hero, like, he just chucks, bro. He just chucks. Like, get somebody else involved. Is there any point guard on this roster? Like, is there any point guard on this roster? Terry Rozier is a gunner. There's no point guard. Nobody that even resembles it. They have no great playmakers. Their best playmaker might be Bam Adebayo. It's Jimmy. But this team lacks a lot, to be honest. Now I'm starting to see it. I love how the playoffs just expose all your flaws. It's the best. Guys, 143 people on Twitter. Come to YouTube. Please. I'm begging. Super chats to turn on. You want to jump $1 or a dime. Appreciate everybody in the comments, by the way. But Jimmy buckets. Wishing him the best, man. Did not play well enough. 19 points, 4 boards, 5 assists, 5 steals, just 1 turnover though. But he was 5 for 18 from the field, 2 for 6 from 3. And got aggressive when Kyle Lowry was not guarding him. I didn't like that. 40 minutes. He gutted it out, man. He gutted it out, but ultimately wasn't enough. As for the Sixers, they only went 9 deep too, but Cam Payne only played 3 minutes and he hit a corner 3. It was his only shot of the game. The only category that he registered in. Then Paul Reed, B-ball Paul, some solid minutes, 6 points, 2 boards on 3 for 3 shooting in 10 minutes of play. And then we look at the starters. All of them played 29 plus minutes. Kyle Lowry, I thought he was really solid, even though he didn't shoot well. 7 points, 5 boards, 1 assist, 2 steals, and 2 turnovers on 3 for 10 shooting and 1 for 5 from 3. So it was not a good shooting game for Lowry in 29 minutes, but I thought he did a lot of the little things. Poked the ball away several times. Was getting in the guy's airspace defensively, just playing hard, high IQ ball. He has championship experience. Tobias Harris, 9 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 turnovers on 4 for 10 shooting, 0 for 3 from deep, 1 for 2 from the line. I don't think he played well. I was looking at it from a Heat's perspective, Heat fan, but let me know what you think. I thought it was rough. Kelly Oubre wasn't great to me until, he played pretty good defense, but until the 4th quarter, made some big plays, had that and 1, 11 points, 8 rebounds, 3 of those offensive rebounds. 1 steal, 1 block on 3 for 9 shooting, 0 for 1 from 3, but 5 for 5 from the line, made big free throws. Sixers made big free throws, kind of like the Lakers did yesterday. Kelly Oubre hit 2, and then I believe it was Maxey who hit 4 of them to make sure the Heat couldn't get back in it because they made it a 1-point game in terms of the final score. They were making everything to put pressure on the Sixers to make free throws. And Maxey was a quieter game for him. You're going to see some big ones, though. And in a second, I'm going to bring on my boy, All Ball, to give a little brief preview of the Knicks series against the Sixers because that's going to be a fun one. Tyrese Maxey, 19 points, 3 boards, 6 dimes on 6 for 16 shooting, 1 for 6 from 3, 6 for 6 from the line in 44 minutes. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I mean, I would much rather want to play the Knicks than Boston, too. I would play Maxey 44 minutes, do whatever it takes. Tyrese had a rough shooting game, but I ultimately got the job done. And then Embiid, 23 points, 15 boards, 5 assists, 1 steal, 3 turnovers on 6 for 17 shooting, 2 for 4 from 3. At least he didn't shoot that many threes, but it was a lot of long jumpers. 9 for 10 from the line in 38 minutes. Here's what I got to say about Embiid. He's my player of the game, not Nico. And this is why. Ultimately, it all falls on him. Without him, they don't even stand a chance, in my opinion. His defense and drop coverage, his presence out there defensively and on the glass was crucial. And then when push came to shove, he made all the big plays. And I'm going to give credit where it's due. Joel Embiid, my player of the game. And then Nico totally changed it. You could say he's the player of the game. 20-piece, 5 boards, 1 block on 7 for 12 shooting and 6 for 10 from 3. The GOAT, Nico Batum. So now, before we talk about Chicago and who they play, Atlanta. Yeah, they're so forgettable that I almost forgot who they played. Chicago and Atlanta. I'm going to let my boy All Ball give something for the live people. Sorry, on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, it will just be me talking about Chicago versus Atlanta. All Ball.
The dropper was good, man.
4:40 in the morning. So I'm gonna have I'm gonna have you guys come on the four sportsmen. I can't believe I said that. 4 sportsmen talking about the series with a Philly fan in depth, but just give me a brief before. Did you watch the Chicago game?
Yeah. I watched both games last night.
All right, we'll talk about that Chicago game. And if you want to actually give any thoughts on Miami and Philly, I'd be glad to hear them. But briefly, just give me first initial thoughts. Knicks, as a Knicks fan, playing against Philly, first round.
Very ecstatic, very excited. To me, that rivalry with the cities, which is a great, healthy rivalry, New York versus Philly. I love it, man. I think this is going to be one of the most exciting series we've seen in a long time. Both teams, good teams, on the verge of being great. But like I said, when these two cities clash, Embiid got that, that big ego in New York City. Listen, man, this is going to be something special.
How many games are you winning in?
I got my Knicks in 6.
Okay, so that's
but
giving the Sixers.
But I wouldn't be surprised if it goes 7 games.
That's giving the Sixers some respect, though, just given that Embiid doesn't really look 100%. Are you worried at all that he could kind of return to the Embiid MVP caliber?
No, I think even, them fully healthy, we still a better team. Remember, we're not healthy neither. OG, Mitchell Robinson is still working themselves in shape and into being healthy. So us having this week off, now we're fully healthy. So for me, I still have to respect Embiid and Maxey. I like Kelly Oubre. And then we see, when you got guys like Nicholas Batum, vets that been in this situation. Look what happened yesterday. And also, I disagree with you. I think Nicholas Batum is the player of the game. Even though they wouldn't have been in it without Embiid, they don't win without Nicholas Batum. Without him having that big fourth quarter and then the key block, because we all know Embiid is hobbling a little bit. Listen, man, great game. But, I got my Knicks in 6. If it goes 7, I'm not going to be surprised because Embiid is still a former MVP.
Big disappointment if you guys lose, even with all the injuries you have?
Yes. Big disappointment. Okay. Yes. I see us, to be honest, I feel something brewing. I'm thinking Lakers, New York finals. I'm calling it here first.
Are you crazy? Lakers, New York? What is it, 1970?
Listen, man. It feels different. It feels special. I've been telling people, they laugh at me, but now they starting to see this New York Knicks team with Brunson reminds me of the Philadelphia 76ers and MVP Allen Iverson season. I'm sorry, it just does. And I think people, I'm not a Lakers fan. I'm not a LeBron fan. But that roster is not as bad as people make it out to be. I've been saying that all season. And if they click at the right time, which they are right now, I see them being the biggest threat in the West because they have the size, they have everything. The size, the youth, they have LeBron, they have AD, the great defender. To me, they have it all. They just gotta put it together correctly.
So you're telling me that the Lakers are going to beat Denver?
Yes.
Wow. How many games?
I'm not high on them. No, I think it's going 7.
Okay.
I think it's going 7.
They're going to win in Denver in the altitude. They're going to win in the altitude in Game 7. Man, if Jokic and crew lost Game 7 in the altitude, that would be terrible.
Listen, man. Let's not act like
LeBron.
Lakers,
if any team could do it, Lakers could do it. Maybe just because LeBron and AD.
Exactly. Let's not act like guys like LeBron. Like he hasn't done this before. As far as just being super legendary, and if AD can stay healthy, listen, man, he can give just as Joker could give him fits. He could do the same thing on the other end, give Joker fits.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I don't know. He hasn't given Joker any fits in the past.
Agree.
But any quick thoughts? I just went through the whole game, 37 minutes. But if you have any thoughts on the Sixers and Miami Heat,
I'll be brief. That was a great game. Miami let that slip away. They should have had that game. And if Philly would have lost, that would have been embarrassing because how do you lose to Miami? No Duncan Robinson, no Terry Rozier. But the Miami Heat thing is over. Jimmy Butler can't.
Why does it say Duncan Robinson was coach's decision? Did it say that? Duncan Robinson coach's
I don't know why he didn't play. Yeah, I don't know why he didn't play. But the Miami Heat thing is over. They got to start making some moves, getting some players. That, what they did for the last 4 or 5 years is legendary. But Jimmy Butler can't stay healthy. You can't expect Bam at 6'9". I don't even think Bam at 6'10" to literally do everything. Anchor the defense, run through him on the offense. No. So, great run. But I wasn't surprised. I was surprised that Philly came back and won that game, though. I thought Miami was going to pull it off.
What does that mean, though? This is over. Like, who are you getting rid of that you're talking about?
I think it's time. I think it's time to get rid of Jimmy Butler, and I think it's time to go young and build around Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo. They have to figure that out. It's either you're going to let those guys do their thing or not. What are you going to do? Because depending on Jimmy Butler, I'm a big Jimmy Butler fan. Like I said, play over Jimmy, all that stuff is real, but he's getting up there in age. So for me,
misses a lot of games. Rests a lot.
And then last night, you see he got injured. And they just had the reports out that he may miss the rest of the playoffs.
Well, yeah, we'll see. You think they're gonna beat Chicago? That's just perfect shift into Chicago Bulls because I wanted to talk about the Bulls. This game, obviously, as we knew, the Eastern Conference quality level was not going to be as high as the West. But this was an interesting game because I don't really watch the Bulls at all anymore. And it gave me a chance to see them on the big stage. And Capella obviously was matched up against Vooch. And one thing I noticed right away was that the Bulls guards were good defensively. They had a solid trio of tenacious guards defensively. Coby White, who I was trying to focus on his defense, and he was playing some good D. If you're a Bulls fan and watch Coby White, let me know what you think of his defense this season. But tonight he was good for me. And we know Caruso and Ayo Dosunmu what they can do. So you had Caruso guarding Trae Young, Coby White against Bogey, Ayo on DeJounte Murray, and then DeRozan on DeAndre Hunter. And even DeRozan was out there playing D tonight. So what I thought was, it was interesting that both teams are so small. DeAndre Hunter and DeMar DeRozan playing the 4. Just shows you how small teams are these days. And both teams are pretty serious. Weren't allowing Bogdanovich and Trae Young to switch on a DeRozan. And, I mean, DeRozan came out with a vengeance, all ball. What'd you think of that? DeRozan, everybody knows about the playoff DeRozan, but he was coming out with a vengeance. Yeah,
I actually watched that game. I've been watching a lot of Chicago Bulls games because I try to tell young kids, I have a son, and, I tell all these young kids, you can't stop looking at KD, John Morant, LeBron, and, guys like that. Look at guys like Coby White. and I've become a Coby White fan. Big shout out to Flea, big shout out to you, big shout out to Faber. You can ask them brothers. I bigged them up last night. I've been, talking about him for a while because in college, I didn't see him being as good. I really didn't. So I think Chicago's going to be a tough out for anybody, even if they get swept. The games are going to be competitive. They play hard. They play tough. They're not scared of nobody. They got DeRozan, who's a vet, who's been around, who's been in this position as far as playoffs with Toronto, conference finals. So they have a closer. They have a guy that they can depend on. But I like Chicago, and I think they're going in the right direction. As you know, Zach LaVine out there now, they can move off of him. And now they have a point guard. They have a young core, like you said, that they can build around. And they can be feisty, man. They could be like maybe a low-budget Knicks if they construct that Chicago Bulls team right to at least be competitive and continue to get better and make the playoffs. But I actually like watching the Chicago Bulls. They fun to watch.
Yep, I agree. It was very interesting for me. And one of the things I noticed was that both bigs were playing drop coverage. So and both aren't great at it. Capella, Vucevic, nobody considers a good defender at all. We know he's poor defensively, but the difference to me is that the Bulls' perimeter defenders are just so much better. Their point of attack defenders are so much better. Atlanta,
Yes.
If you've been paying attention to Atlanta this season, they've just been getting lit up. All these super high-scoring games, Atlanta is at the forefront of a lot of them, and they don't have Jalen Johnson, who they didn't have in this game. Whatever happened to Onyeka Okongwu? Is he just out of the rotation? Or is he injured? I guess I don't even see him there.
Yeah, I guess so, but great point. I mean, a lot of teams, they got to figure out what they're going to do. Look at Atlanta now. What y'all going to do with Trae Young?
He's injured, yeah.
All right, he's injured. Yeah, so, even if, Atlanta, would have won, I'm just saying, let's be realistic. They wasn't going to make a run. So now with Atlanta, what are y'all going to do with Trae Young? I would love to see him go to San Antonio, team him up with Wembanyama. But yeah, I really like Chicago, and I think they have something going. Let's see what happens, Do they beat Miami? If Miami don't have Jimmy Butler, I think I'm going for Chicago. But, let's see. Now the winner's going to be Boston.
Yeah, absolutely. DeMar DeRozan wasn't the only one that came out firing in the first quarter. DeJounte Murray, your boy All-Ball, was lighting it up in the first quarter, hitting jump shots, contested jump shots. And then Clint Capella was actually finishing around the basket this season. And I know he's been missing shots around the rim for the last 2-3 years. He was making just about everything, little jump hooks, even with the left hand in the middle of the key. But the Bulls went on that 16-2 run in the first quarter, led by DeRozan. And I thought the Hawks' offensive process was pretty ass. They're just chucking threes, contested threes. Trae Young, he didn't look very right in the beginning of the game and was just turning the ball over a lot. And obviously, again, talked about those good defenders, even though Caruso got hurt and he was pissed. That was unfortunate. I love watching Caruso play defense.
Yeah. Me too. I like Caruso.
DeRozan played the whole first quarter. Coby White had 9 points in the first, and DeRozan had 11 points in the first and 5 assists. I mean, he was knocking down the mid-range over DeAndre Hunter. He was making plays, getting to the basket. Vucevic, it was interesting with Vucevic. He was making like every shot that wasn't a three. Every three he would brick except for like one, but everything inside the arc he was making. But Chicago was up 40-22 after the first. Even Andre Drummond came in and was putting it back up and in. What did you think of the way they just came out like that? Apparently it was their highest scoring first quarter of the season.
Listen, like I said, people don't know because they don't watch. But if you watch the game, Chicago is they're a good team on the come up, and they have a core of, like you said, Bogey, Bog, which I love his game. You got Coby White, you got DeRozan. So I think they have a solid team. I'm not saying, they're going to be championship contenders, but listen, they got guys that play hard. It's just simple and plain. They got guys they not scared. And Chicago got a crew of guys that all got something to prove. So I wasn't surprised that they came out like that, like gangbusters, and just wanted to put Atlanta away.
Yeah, second was interesting and they milked this in commentary. It was so crazy. Trae Young was on the bench and the Hawks went on a run. And I don't even think Trae Young was playing bad defense personally. I was looking at the game. Every time they put him in the pick and roll, it wasn't because of that they scored in the first quarter, at least to me, at this point of the game. But he was not great offensively, for sure. They went on a 14-0 run because DeJounte Murray was just sniping, just knocking shots down over dudes. And DeRozan was also out during that run. Like, there's always two sides to the coin. And DeRozan was out. And I thought Bruno Fernando actually gave him some pretty decent minutes. So I saw that Okongwu was injured. Okongwu and Jalen Johnson injured. It's not ideal at all because this Hawks team, to me, they're not very deep. And they don't have enough good defenders on the team. They just don't.
Agree.
Not enough wings. DeAndre Hunter was getting lit up, and he wasn't doing much offensively at all. I want to see if he even shot in the first quarter. Yeah, he was 0 for 3 in the first quarter. So he wasn't doing much. And, I thought but one thing that was interesting was that with Fernando, they would bring him out on the screens at the level of the ball. Who was great? Ayo Dosunmu, all ball. Tell me what you thought of him. He was making threes, getting downhill, playing amazing defense.
Listen, man, tough, man. Like I said, it's so many great players in the NBA that you don't know if you don't watch. Listen, man, that young man is tough. It's fun to watch.
And it's good. This is the best part about the playoffs, that everyone's watching the same game. Everybody gets to watch these guys on the big stage. That's all ball and I love. This is the time of the year where you get to make your name.
Yep. And trust me, a lot of names is going to be made this upcoming playoffs because these matchups on both ends, man, listen, it's going down. I'm so excited for these playoffs. You don't know, especially that Western Conference. Wow.
Really high scoring second quarter, 45-33. Atlanta won that quarter actually though by 12. So they made it kind of close going into halftime, and the Hawks made a little adjustment. They stopped putting Capella in drop coverage against DeRozan because DeRozan was just walking into pull-ups. So they brought him out on the screens, still dropping on Coby White, and that didn't work out too great because he was getting downhill. But yeah, we talked about Ayo, but once DeRozan and Coby White came back into me in the second quarter, that's when they kind of restored order. Like every time DeRozan and Coby White were in, they felt in control of the game. And DeRozan was starting to get like doubled, like beyond the 3-point line. It was crazy. He made a great impact. I got to give DeRozan credit. We give him so much shit when he plays badly in the playoffs. That's our guy from out here, Compton, USC, was beasting.
Solid career, man. Solid career. I still think he can be a missing piece to a championship contending team. I think he still has some left in the tank.
Yeah, he might. I think he might have to be like he's always been like the best scorer everywhere he goes. He needs to be like the second guy, like almost like a Paul George role. But Clint Capella, 16 points, 7 rebounds in the first half, 8 for 9 shooting. But the takeaway for me, DeAndre Hunter, by the way, 0 for 5 in the first half, 0 points. Trae Young, 10 points, 6 assists. So he started to get going with some lobs to Capella towards the end of the second quarter. But DeJounte Murray, all ball. What'd you think of that? Remember, we've been arguing about DeJounte Murray all year, but he had 23 points in the first half.
Hey, man, listen, this year's been his come out party. He's trying to put people on notice. Look at all these guards in the NBA, and they not talking about him. So I think he's seeing that and understanding that and hearing that, and he wants to be named with the Brunsons and the Halliburtons and the Dames and all that stuff. So I'm not surprised how great he's been playing this season, and at least last night, a great game from him, even though they lost. I'm not surprised at all because from San Antonio, we see the young man can play. He just needed an opportunity. So I think, once again, Atlanta has to figure out what they want to do. Are you going to move forward with DeJounte, or are you going to figure it out with Trae Young, which I think they need to let go of Trae Young and just go with DeJounte.
Wow. So it is interesting because the Hawks made the conference finals in 2021, but that was a weak year of the NBA to me. Like, not that many great teams, so many changes. COVID had just happened. A lot of the good teams got injured, and like including the Knicks got injured. Like Mitchell Robinson being out, I think they still would have won the series, but it wouldn't have been 5 games. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and then the Philadelphia 76ers as a 1 seed, like compare that to Boston this year. Or Milwaukee last year. It's just such a drastic difference. You know what I mean? Ben Simmons was their second best player. And Glenn Rivers is the coach. So like, it was just a weird year. Not to discredit them though. They made the conference finals. And then after that, they've kind of been this consistent playing team ever since. 22, they lost in they won in the play-in and then lost to Miami in the first round in 5. Then they bring in DeJounte Murray, and in these last 2 years, they've gone play-in last year where they beat Miami, took the Celtics to 6, which was like a valiant effort. But then this year, again, play-in territory, you had a lot of injuries, and your season's over now. There's only really one quarter to talk about in the second half because in the fourth quarter it was basically done.
Yeah, done.
The game was over. The Hawks closed the second quarter on a 12-2 run to make it a game. But in the third quarter, I noticed that Clint Capella was coming out on the screens on Coby White too. But Coby White, I mean, he is shifty. He was outplaying everyone. I mean, it was his career high. Talk about big stage. And how about that Chicago crowd all ball? They were lit. It was great to see the Madhouse on Madison getting lit again. And RJ kept saying in the commentary, and it was facts.
Yes. Listen, man. Like I told you, Chicago was fun to watch. If you like gritty, tough basketball, listen, man, the Chicago Bulls is a great watch. And like I said, Coby White, 42 last night. Another young guard that's putting the league on notice that I'm a pro, I'm an NBA player, I'm a starting point guard, and I belong here. And as you can see, the work he's putting in is starting to show. Listen, man, great game from Coby White last night. You cannot take away from that young man. Great game last night.
It's so funny because for you it's last night, and for me it's like tonight. I just finished the game like 2 hours ago.
Right. Crazy.
But
right?
It is technically last night for me too. But you know, when I don't consider it the next day till I go to sleep.
Right.
What was I gonna say? Oh, it was funny because in the first half of the third quarter, the game was kind of like tame. It was just trading baskets, and it wasn't super high scoring like that second quarter. And then when Trae Young hit this sidestep three, made it 85-88, he looked at these guys courtside and said something. The second that happened, the Bulls went on this. I'm not saying it happened because of that, but like they went on this crazy run, 18-2. It started when Vooch finally hit his first three. And then Trae Young tried to foul bait and throw up some bullshit, and then he didn't get back on D. That is one of my pet peeves in ball. Ayo Dosunmu went all the way. This is playoff basketball. You can't be – okay, you didn't get your foul, but you got to get back. 18-2 run, and Coby White, I mean, he is so shifty. He was turning the corner, whether it was pick and roll or one-on-one. Mm-hmm. His handle was tight, getting to the basket, exploding. And one thing I noticed about the Bulls, the Javonte Greens that played, that Terry guy, guys are going to guard – guys that are athletic. To me, the Bulls just had a lot of athleticism. Even though DeRozan and Vooch are kind of the old men, a lot of athleticism. You know, Caruso, even Coby White, they've got some youth, as you said. And every time when the Hawks were starting to miss, when you saw Coby White get out on the break, him and Ayo Dosunmu, it was a problem. Dosunmu has good burst. Like, you're starting to see a vision here. I don't know if DeRozan is part of the long-term plans, but he sure is a good vet. He just seems like a good dude. I mean, everything I've heard about him, he's a good dude. Coby White, man, he was lighting them up.
A dime, Coby White, 0 turnovers.
Yeah, big time. And Trae Young was turning over left and right.
But before I get out of here, right? Always a pleasure to come up here with you. I'm gonna throw a nugget out there. Where's Anthony Davis from?
Chicago.
Lakers don't win this year. LeBron James, let's say, I don't know if he retires or let's say his son gets drafted. He goes where his sons go. His son goes. I don't think Anthony Davis is happy in LA. I don't think he never was happy in LA. And there was room. But there was. It has nothing to do with Los Angeles. LA is a great place. So it's not the city.
Who does he have a problem with? Because he loves LeBron.
Y'all can say he loves LeBron. I don't know that. Everybody I hear that plays with LeBron after the fact says they don't like playing with him. It's difficult. So I don't know about
everyone. That's such an exaggeration.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. When Anthony Davis with the Pelicans, did you hear rumblings that he wanted to go back home?
Not yet.
Well, I heard rumblings of that before he went to the Lakers. Imagine Anthony Davis with the Chicago Bulls team. Something to think about. And if I'm him, hold on, just real quick. And if I'm him, reason why I would think about that a lot, you can go over there and just play ball. There's no pressure in your home. Remember, in LA, he's the big man. Lakers is known for what? Legendary big men. Bill Russell, Shaquille O'Neal, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Pau Gasol. These guys winning multiple championships. I mean, sorry, not Bill Russell, Will Chamberlain. Sorry,
Yeah.
Will Chamberlain. So, I think the pressure of being a Laker, being a big man, I don't think he wants that pressure. I think he needs to start looking at Chicago. And now that'll make the East even tougher.
This is the all ball campaign to get AD to leave LeBron, so LeBron has no more chances to win rings.
Hey, Dom,
I'll support it.
It's always a pleasure, man.
I'm trying to push LeBron out of here, though. Let's keep Anthony Davis around. I love watching Anthony Davis nightly, but
You can't,
I like watching LeBron nightly. I just don't like his stands and Laker fans mixed.
If the Lakers weren't the Lakers, then AD stays. And like I said, what I mean by that is they want championships. They want rock stars. They want stardom. They want people like that. My opinion, I don't know. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say no stars
Well,
want to leave the Lakers except Dwight Howard, and he was just not built for this.
But we have stars that didn't want to go to the Lakers. So
yeah, because they didn't want to play with Coby or LeBron. Coby and LeBron are not everyone's cup of tea.
No. But forget God rest his soul, Coby. Let's just talk about the present now. Not in the far past. Guys like Kawhi, guys like Dame, guys like Paul George, they got the phone calls to go to the Lakers, and they didn't go. There's pressure. There's different things dealing with the Lakers. And I think a guy like Anthony Davis does not want to have to deal with that on his own. Remember, LeBron being there, he takes all the brunt of that. AD could just fall back and play. LeBron not there. AD's not built for that. Go to Chicago.
What if LeBron stays? What if LeBron stays and Bronny does the right thing by going and plays another year because he needs it?
Okay, then it makes sense because once again, LeBron being a Laker is still that mystique, the rock stardom. It's still people come out to see. But with LeBron not being there, AD's not built for that type of pressure.
What if LeBron's not going anywhere is what I'm saying. He stays.
Lord have mercy. And does what? How many years this guy going? I mean, if he stays, okay, cool, but stays and do what?
You want the Lakers to get rid of him? I mean, he's still a top 10 player in the NBA when he's playing in the playoffs.
He's not a top 10 player. We have to let that go. No, he's not.
Okay, I said he's 11th before the season, and I wasn't even counting Kawhi, but that's because if I was counting regular season. If we're talking just playoffs alone, I'm putting him in the top 10. I would not rather have 10 better players I would not have 10 players than LeBron in the playoffs. Now.
Okay, I agree. I mean, I agree to that, but if we just talking regular season, guys
regular season, he misses games here and there.
Guys like him, KD, Kawhi, but they not top 10 players no more. Like we have to be honest.
KD too?
No, he's not. No. With that Phoenix team, the way they underachieved, no.
He carried them at times. At times, Booker and Beal were both out at the same time. And he was dragging them.
Man, listen.
KD plays consistent defense. That's why I put him over LeBron these days. He plays consistent defense. LeBron 39 though. I understand.
Right, but it's new up and coming guys, the Ant-Mans, the SGAs, the Jalen Brunsons, like these guys.
Okay. Whoa! Slow down though. You always say about those guys, they got to prove it in the playoffs.
No, but I'm saying
ain't proven nothing yet.
No, but I'm saying regular season. I'm not saying playoffs. Remember, I'm saying when we talking top 10 for the regular season.
What if you combine them though for your real list? That's got to be your real list, right? They're taking both into account, but like who you and I weigh the playoffs more, right?
Yes, of course. Okay.
So who you taking on your team overall? Who you think is better at basketball for what all ball thinks is better? LeBron James or Ant-Man? This LeBron James though, not the previous.
You talk about for the playoffs?
I guess a mixture of both. I guess who would you rather have on your team just for this season? You don't have him for the future, just this season. Who do you want on your team? This season?
Ant-Man.
Okay. What about the same question with LeBron and SGA? So basically, like if the Thunder were to play the Lakers, like do you think
LeBron.
Okay.
Yes.
How about so you really think you think Ant-Man's better than SGA?
Yes.
He's proven more. We've seen him in the playoffs more.
Yes. I don't get caught up in, averaging 30 plus because a lot of guys is doing that. I think SGA, I just like his motor. I like his attitude. He just has that dog in him. I just love something about him. It's no knock to SGA, great player, but I don't Like I said, Ant-Man made the playoffs last year. He won a game against Denver, who we seen was Denver was the ultimate team that just beat everybody down. I didn't see SGA make the playoffs yet, win a playoff game. So, yeah, right at this point, I'm taking Ant-Man over SGA.
Okay. You wouldn't take Halliburton over LeBron, would you?
Nah, I think Halliburton is good, but they go overboard with Halliburton. I'm sorry.
Okay. What about your boy?
I'm taking Brunson over everybody. You already know that. I'm being biased. I don't care.
Over Jokic?
I don't care how nobody feel. I'm taking Brunson over everybody, Dom. And I've been consistent.
Do you like?
I've been consistent, Dom. I've been consistent.
Brunson, or Carmelo in his peak Knicks year, 2013.
I'm taking Brunson. Once again, I don't know if. Hold on. I don't know if Carmelo. See you slick. You tricked me into staying on here for much longer. It's okay because you my brother. Because you know what to bring up. I don't think Carmelo Anthony can do what Brunson did with this team with all the injuries. I'm sorry. That is getting left. That is getting left out. And everybody that he's playing with is having career years and career seasons. I'm sorry. I don't see Carmelo Anthony with this roster constructed with all the injuries, with Josh Hart, Hartenstein, Deuce, and DiVincenzo having the seasons they're having if Carmelo Anthony is there instead of Brunson. I don't see that.
Do you like Brunson more than Sprewell and Houston?
Yeah, way more. Yes.
Brunson's your favorite Knicks since Ewing? Do you like him more than Ewing?
I don't like him more than Ewing because Ewing has 20-something years. He's missed the Knicks.
Nick ever. Yeah.
Right, of course. So I'm not going to go that far. But right now, Brunson
your favorite Knicks since Ewing?
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I know it's a little premature, but
not
yes,
really.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Not really premature.
Yeah, because it's only been a year and a half. You have some guys like Larry Johnson, Allen Houston, Sprewell, Starks. Right. But I'm just saying you still have guys that had a long tenure, but what Brunson is doing, listen, man, we have to not poo-poo it, and we really have to put it up there because if this was any other player, we'll be going berserk like a Halliburton and they try to shoot him to superstardom in a month.
Fair enough. So, do we have anything more to say about Chicago? I think Andre Drummond had a good impact, and they said Bulls had a season high in the third. So, again, season high of 37 points in the third, 40 in the first. My main takeaway was that the Bulls are more athletic. They were healthier. I mean, so Zach LaVine's not here, but this Bulls team is the non-Zach LaVine Bulls are the reason they're here.
Yeah,
it's a bad look for Zach LaVine. They can't wait to get rid of him, probably. I mean, having Dosunmu and Caruso as the backcourt defensively is and Coby White. Yeah. It's small, but Caruso can guard. So, and Dosunmu's crazy athletic. So, a lot of pace. Great job by the crowd. DeRozan was sick. Coby White was the best player on the floor. And Trae Young. What do you think? Let me ask you about this. Trae Young. Was it? How much do you say it's the injury, or did he just play awful?
I have to give him the benefit of the doubt. I think some of it was injury. He didn't have a great game, but some of it was injury. And, when guys is coming off injury, you can't expect them to come back. A guy that size to just go crazy. He still had 20, and it was a point where they was in the game. So I commend him for coming back and trying to give his team an opportunity or shot to win the game. But, the Trae Young Atlanta Hawks thing, the era is over. I think they need to move forward, just like Zach LaVine. I think the success of Chicago Bulls is a great thing for Zach LaVine and Chicago Bulls because if Chicago doesn't do what they do, now, it's kind of like we may have to keep Zach. But now Zach isn't happy. He can go wherever he wants to go. And then now the Bulls doesn't have that hanging over their head to worry about what they got to do with him. And then now they can move forward with that young group and figure it out.
I think that if the Hawks keep Trae Young, they should just try to look to make him a second option. I don't know if as a first option. He's a playing team. I mean, Jalen Johnson's a good player. DeAndre Hunter might need to become a bench player. I just don't see him improving at all, and he's not healthy enough. Just rely on him too much. He's a solid defender in terms of his size, but I don't think he's that great of a defender. I think the Hawks just don't play any defense. They need to get a better starting center than Capella, move him to the bench. And I don't know.
I told you they need to build around Bogey and DeJounte. That's a backcourt.
Bogey's a sixth man to me. He's nothing more than a sixth man.
Listen, I disagree. I think if you put DeJounte at the 1, Bogey at the 2, like I said, that's a big backcourt. I'm I'm just saying you
And
have
you
to
might
try.
be getting something good for Trey. If you're going to trade Trey Young, you're going to get something
Right,
good. You're
right.
giving him. You're basically trading Trey Young, and you're giving somebody Trey Young for the prime of Trey Young.
Like
Giving a
prime
team that.
prime example. All right, Josh Hart is a 6-man, but look what he does when he's on the court as a starter. I'm saying give Bogey the opportunity.
Okay.
Maybe
No,
he.
I'm not saying
Right.
that. I wasn't considering. I was considering Trey Young and DeJounte staying together and saying Bogey's no more than a
Yeah,
6-man
I
for
don't.
this
Yeah,
team.
but see, with Trey Young, it's hard for him to be the second option when his whole life he's been the number one option. That mentally, that's difficult to just, okay, I'm gonna go to being the second option when your mind or your play may think you're better than the number one option. To me, to not even have that riff, I think they should just move on. Trey Young, it didn't work out. You're a coach killer. You know, it's just, listen, he doesn't look happy. He doesn't seem happy. You know, y'all had a run. Time to move on. I think a fresh start with him would be great. And then now Atlanta can move forward.
Well, I've kept you long enough, by the way. If you have to go, I don't want to keep you any
Nah,
longer.
yeah. All good, Dom. You already know. Always a pleasure. Anytime I could come through, my brother, I'm always here.
Yes, sir. All ball. We'll see you soon for the preview. Hopefully in the next.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully, hey, can you film it on today?
Yes.
Okay, because I
Yes.
didn't even realize that my boss was going out of town, so I don't have work tomorrow. So
Oh,
I
perfect. All
get to
right, yeah,
film.
we'll figure this stuff out. I got you.
All right.
All right.
Appreciate you all, ball.
Shout out, Dom.
All right, let's read the lines to close out tonight for the Atlanta Hawks. They went with 9 deep, but really 8 deep because Gay only played 2 minutes. Wesley Matthews, 10 minutes, a donut. They got to combine 13 points out of these 3 guys. It's just nothing. Wes Matthews is washed. He had a donut, 0 for 2. Both his shots were 3s, 10 minutes played. Garrison Matthews, 8 points. He was okay. 2 for 4 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3. He's a cone, though, to me. Complete cone. Bruno Fernando, he was okay. 5 points. It's just, I don't know. Is he a rotation basketball player for a good team? I don't know. 2 for 3 from the field. I thought he played okay, though. And then the starters, all who played 37 plus minutes. Bogey, 21 points, 5 boards, 4 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks, and no turnovers. I actually thought he was pretty good. Some tough shots. He was 3 for 10 from 3 and took some bad ones, in my opinion. 8 for 18 from the field, 2 for 2 from the foul line. Solid. Bogey is Bogey. We know who he is. DeAndre Hunter, 8 points, 4 assists, 3 for 16. Oh my God. He shot more than Trey Young. DeAndre Hunter should be a bench player going forward. He should. He's getting paid too much, too, in my opinion. Let's see. What's the Hawks payroll? Let me see this shit. This team is just poor, man. They're stuck in the mud. They're stuck in the middle. DeAndre Hunter. Oh my God. He's getting paid $21 million. He's like a $15 million a year player to me. His health, too. I like DeAndre Hunter, but I'm just like, he hasn't improved at all, in my opinion. 3 for 16, 0 for 7 from 3. The Hawks were 45% from the field and 30 from 3. They just couldn't hit the 3 ball, and a lot of it, and Quinn Snyder even said it after the first quarter, because they weren't even getting good shots half the time. 82% from the free throw line. Clint Capella, he actually played really well. 22 points, 17 rebounds, 4 assists. But again, he's food defensively. 11 for 15 from the field. He shot really well in 38 minutes of play. And then you have DeJounte and Trey. Trey, 22 points, 2 rebounds, 10 assists, 6 turnovers, 4 for 12 from the field, 3 for 8 from 3. Just struggled to get shots off against these guys and just didn't look the same. DeJounte Murray, by the way, so Trey had another really good year, but yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what the ceiling is with him as the best player. They hit it in 2021. It's not going to get better than that. DeJounte, though, one thing I thought was interesting was just stop playing through him as much in the second half, which I thought was very peculiar. More Trey Young ball, but he only shot 7 times in the second half. It's just not enough for a guy who's scorching hot. Finished with 30 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals. And that's partially on him as well. Got to go with the ball. But I get it. Want to get Trey going. 11 for 21 from the field, 3 for 6 from 3, 5 for 6 from the line in 46 minutes. Dude was a beast, but not quite good enough. Chicago, Javon Carter played just 2 minutes, was minus 11 in those 2 minutes. Oh my God. 0 points. Torrey Craig, 7 minutes, 0 points, 2 rebounds. Only played second half from my memory. Who is this Terry fellow? Dalen Terry. Went to Arizona, 18th pick in the 2022 draft. So he's in his second season. He had athleticism, size, 4 point. Jesus Christ, played good defense. 4 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 blocks, 2 for 8 from the field, 0 for 2 from 3 in 15 minutes, which does not sound that great, right? Plus 21. And he played well. The eye test, he played well. Andre Drummond, 11 impactful minutes off the bench. 4 points, 4 rebounds, 3 blocks, 2 for 4 from the field, was firing up the crowd when he taunted. I forget I think it was Fernando who he taunted. But Andre Drummond's been really good in that backup center role for them. And then Javonte Green, the former Celtic, he was showing off the athleticism, as we know from watching with the Celtics, that he has. 10 points, some big-time dunks, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal. And I'll tell you, the Dalen Terry, Javonte Green, being that low man, backside protection for Vucevic, just gives him that athleticism. So, more than the Hawks do, especially without Jalen Johnson. Javonte Green, 10 points off the bench. That's huge. And then you have the starters. Alex Caruso, with the injury, only played 17 minutes, 6 points, 2 boards, 2 assists, and a steal on 2 for 3 shooting, 2 for 3 from 3. And then Vooch, he had a monster game. 24 points, 12 rebounds, 2 assists, 11 for 21 from the field, 1 for 6 from 3. So as I said, he was hitting everything from inside the arc. Jump hooks, mid-range, 18-footers. He was 10 for 15 from 2. Really good game. Ayo Dosunmu, what a great game for him on both ends. Finishing in transition. 19 points, 3 assists, 1 rebound, 2 blocks, 8 for 12 from the field, 3 for 4 from 3. Jesus. And great defense in 41 minutes. He was awesome. And then you have DeRozan. 22 points, 6 boards, 9 assists, a steal and a block on 10 for 19 shooting, 1 for 2 from 3, 1 for 1 from the line. That's only 1 free throw attempt for him is rare. 44 minutes. He was spectacular in the mid-range, was getting double teamed, making the right plays, and was solid defensively. And then the man of the hour, the man of the night, Coby White, 42 points, 9 boards, 6 assists, 2 steals, 0 turnovers, playing hard defense, 15 for 21 from the field, 3 for 7 from 3, 9 for 10 from the foul line, putting more pressure on the defense than anyone on the game for both sides. He outplayed Trae Young, DeJounte Murray, DeMar DeRozan. He was the man, most improved player. Chalk it up, put all your money on it. It's that dude from Chicago. The Madhouse was rocking. As you see, got the new background. The Madhouse. They're going to lose to Miami, and I hope they do. But if Jimmy Butler doesn't play and he's out for a couple weeks, let's get the Bulls in there. Why not? They're going to get smoked by the C's. But that's what a 1-8 is. Coby White, salute. An amazing performance. The Hawks got some things to do this summer with Landry Fields and crew. Disappointing season indeed. Chicago, absolute success no matter what happens from this point forward. Coby White is a beast. Ayo Dosunmu's got a good future. I like the athleticism on this team. Dalen Terry's showing some good stuff. I know he's a second-year not lottery pick, but first-round pick. So there you go. Now, there's no games on Thursday, but I want to tell you guys, everybody that's in here, especially if you guys are on Twitter, 228 people on Twitter. You guys just didn't listen and come on YouTube. But I'm going to say this. I have a preview out, and I'm going to try to preview every series, right, as much as I can. The ones that are happening on Friday night, I guess I'm just going to have to preview them at the end of the live. And I don't even know if I'm going to go live because I got some friends in town from college. But guys, please come. Oh, please check out my previews, right? First one is the Milwaukee Bucks Indiana Pacers one that's out right now on my channel. You can also listen to it on Spotify or Apple Podcasts with a Bucks fan and a Pacers fan. That was a great insight from their seasons and all that. And then I talked about the Clippers series and the Lakers series at the end of the last episode. I may post a separate video of just those parts of the episodes for you guys. You don't have to scroll through it, but I timestamped them. So they're literally there on my last live where I talked about the 2 playing games from the Western Conference. So that was a jam-packed episode, and it was also basketball and Figueroa combined into a live. So some of my best work of the season in terms of talking about so many things. We talked about the Sparks draft. It was just, it was major. It was major basketball and Figueroa. So go check that out. And previewed the series at the end of those episodes, but I will post them. I also talked about Blake Griffin's retirement. That was very sad. So check those out. And there's going to be more coming on Thursday. I'll chop the ones up just so you guys. And also Locked On Clippers, 2-part preview with Nick from Locked On Mavs. Go check that out as well. But yeah, so much content right now that I'm making. So I go hard for the playoffs. You know what it is. Always going hard for the playoffs. So Friday Night Live, we'll see. We'll see. Peace out, y'all. Oh, no. Now to the live subscribers waiting patiently in the chat.